It's a strange world we live in. We create more photos, more videos, more stuff than any generation in history. And yet, we're in real danger of becoming the most forgotten. So today, we're going to dig into that anxiety, this deep, modern fear, and a business that's built on a pretty wild idea: defeating death's silence.
Okay, get ready for this number. It's a bit of a shocker. 53%. That's how many Americans can't name all 4 of their own grandparents. I mean, just let that sink in for a minute. More than half of us have lost the names of the people who are literally a quarter of our DNA. And this isn't just some trivia fact. No, it's a symptom of a much, much bigger problem.
And this has a name. The source material we're looking at calls it generational amnesia. And look, this isn't about you feeling bad. It's framed as a full-blown civilizational emergency. Because when the names go, what's next? The stories. And when the stories disappear, the wisdom, the identity, the very fabric of who we are, it just unravels. Now, this isn't exactly new, right? There's this idea called the third generation curse. The first generation, they live the story. The second generation, they hear it, but maybe the details get a little fuzzy. And by the third, poof, the story's often just gone. Technology was supposed to fix this, but you could argue it's actually making things worse.
So who's feeling this the most? Who's got that knot in their stomach? It's the sandwich generation. These are folks in their 40s and 50s basically acting as the chief memory officers of their families. They're stuck right in the middle, with aging parents whose memories are fading and kids who've grown up with screens and might never hear those stories. They're living with this constant low-grade hum of anxiety, this anticipatory grief, because they know an entire universe of experience is just slipping through their fingers.
Now, you're probably thinking, wait, isn't there an app for that? And yeah, there are plenty of services out there. But what's so interesting here is the argument that those solutions, they're actually the problem. They even introduce a villain into the story, the digital landlord.
And this slide just lays it all out. It's 2 totally different ways of thinking. On the one hand, you've got the subscription trap. That's the digital landlord model, where you are basically just renting your own family's history. On the other hand, you have the endowment model, sovereign ownership, which says your family's story is an asset. It's yours, period.
Wow. This quote just cuts right to the bone, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of that anxiety. The subscription model turns your most precious, irreplaceable memories into just another monthly bill. It literally creates a hostage situation where your family's entire legacy is tied to an auto-renew payment. And this is the real kicker, right? The whole model is just so fragile. Your data's locked away. Your credit card expires? Whoops, there go your memories. The company goes bankrupt? It's all gone, forever. And on top of all that, for a lot of people, these services just feel like homework. You get these email prompts, and after a while, you just start ignoring them. The project never even gets finished.
Okay, so if the cloud is basically a house of cards, what's the alternative? This is where the whole idea flips. It moves away from fragile code and into the world of chemistry and physics. A company called Sepia Pages is basing its entire philosophy on a return to something tangible, something real, something permanent.
So how in the world do they do this? Well, instead of a normal DVD that uses organic dyes that fade over time, they use this thing called an M-disc. It's got this patented data layer that's literally rock-like. A high-powered laser doesn't just burn the surface, it physically engraves your data into this stone material. It's basically creating a digital fossil.
And this is where it gets kind of insane, in a good way. I mean, they've tested these things by boiling them in water, dipping them in liquid nitrogen, burying them in the ground. This isn't a promise of 5 or 10 years of stability. We are talking 1,000 years. It's designed so that your great, whatever descendants can find it and read it. Okay, so you have this super durable disk, but how does anyone find it? How does it connect back to your family's stuff? That's the second piece of the puzzle. These little tags, made from marine-grade stainless steel. You can attach them to actual family heirlooms, your grandfather's watch, an old piano, even a tombstone. 100 years from now, someone can scan it and hear the voice of their ancestor telling the story of that exact object. So it makes you ask, right? What does 1,000 years feel like when you're holding it? Imagine having something in your hand that you know for a fact is built to outlive you and your kids and their kids' kids. It's more than just data storage. It's a real physical connection to the deep future. Look, having tech that lasts forever is amazing, but it's useless if the stories you put on it are, well, boring, or if you can't get those stories in the first place.
This is where you need a method that goes way beyond just hitting the record button.
And this is where the psychology comes in. It's a really smart move. A $99 product? That's a vitamin. It's a nice-to-have gift. But a $599 solution that actually helps cure that deep pain of anticipatory grief, that prevents a family's history from being totally erased, that's not a vitamin. That's medicine. It's positioned as a cure for a real painful problem.
So the way they get these deep stories is through something called the Sepia 100 protocol. And this isn't just a list of questions like, where did you grow up? No, it's a whole structured framework based on psychology. It's designed to trigger something called life review therapy, which helps an older person look back on their life and find meaning and connection in their story.
Just look at this question. It's brilliant. You don't ask, was it quiet? You ask about the quality of the silence. A question like that just bypasses the simple yes-no part of the brain and taps right into a deep sensory experience. It unlocks memories someone might not have thought about for 50 years.
Or how about this one? We all know that smell is like a time machine for our brains. A question like this isn't looking for a fact. It's looking for a feeling, an atmosphere. It's designed to dig up the emotional truth of a memory, not just the boring biographical data. Okay, so we've got the forever tech and we've got the deep story psychology. So how do you price that? How do you sell forever? Well, the price itself becomes a statement about what this all means.
This chart just makes it so obvious. You pay for a subscription service for 20 years, and you could be out $2,000 or more. And you still don't really own your data. With this other model, it's one payment, that's it, you have sovereign ownership, and the risk of your data disappearing because the company folds is basically zero. And that all leads to this final, really powerful idea. You're not buying a product. You're paying a one-time premium for legacy insurance. Think about it. We have life insurance to protect a family's financial future. This is designed to protect their narrative future. It's an endowment for their story. Which really brings us back to the big question, the one that this whole thing is built on. If you truly believe your family's story is a precious, sovereign asset, why on earth would you ever choose to rent it? It forces you to decide who you're going to trust with the most irreplaceable thing you have, your own story.